Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the War Breakdown and Vehicon 2-pack from Transformers Prime. As you can see here, they are celebrating the 10th anniversary of Transformers Prime, which that sounds crazy when you think about it. I can't believe this show was 10 years ago. But the packaging is very similar to like Transformers Generation Selects packaging. You can see it says Transformers Prime 10-year anniversary up there. You have a Decepticon symbol on this side. Just kind of some, I guess, legal jargon over here on this side, but you have this kind of mountain face, or, you know, side of a mountain, cliff, whatever you want to call it, in the background here. Not really sure why, but I don't know. It's been a minute since I've seen Prime, so maybe that has some kind of significance I don't remember, so that's very possible. In any case, if we go ahead and open this up, you can see Breakdown and Vehicon. Now, we never got either of these figures, so it's the first time we're getting them, which is very exciting. And I believe if you look behind them, they do have their arms Microns. Yes, I believe so. So I will have to put these together. But this is actually really exciting. It looks like maybe there's some stickers as well. Is that the case? Can't say I'm excited about that. Well, anyway, I'm going to go ahead, take a look at all of this, and if there are stickers, I'll put them all together or whatever I decide to do. So let me get all this assembled, and then we'll take a closer look. So here are War Breakdown and Vehicon out of the packaging. You can see that they each have a little ARMS Micron partner, which is pretty cool. This guy's name is Zamu, and this guy's name is Igu. Now, I'm assuming this guy he's obviously a lizard of some kind, so I'm assuming he's an iguana. Igu, like the first three letters of iguana, so okay, I get that. Not really sure why this guy's named Zamu. I mean, he's a rhino, and Japanese for rhino is Sai, so not really sure where Zamu's coming from. But they're pretty neat, and I'll show off their transformations and whatnot later on. They're kind of like little model kits. They only have about 5 or 6 pieces all told, and they come on little sprues, and you just kind of break them off and snap them together, and they're kind of neat. You can see Zamu has his stickers applied. I kind of did him as a test just to see how they would work out, and I'm not really a fan. They're kind of super thin hollow foil stickers, very metallic-y looking, which I do like, but every time I handle the figure, I feel like I'm rubbing up against an edge, and I feel like they're going to peel over time. I just really don't think they're going to stand the test of time, so I kind of just made the decision not to apply them to anyone else. So you'll see Igu doesn't have any stickers. Breakdown, the Vehicon, I didn't put stickers on anybody else. Now that does make them a little plain looking, and I apologize, you're not going to get the full effect of the review, you know, having the full stickers on everybody. I'm not a fan. I mean, if the old G1 reissues have taught me anything, it's that these stickers do not stand up. They peel, they don't stick, and I really don't want to deal with it. So I apologize that you won't see, you know, the full, I guess, splendor or color scheme or whatever you want to call it for these figures. They will look a little plain. Know that they do come with stickers. I just didn't apply them because I really just don't want to deal with them peeling over time. So I apologize, but it is what it is. But yeah, so we do have the two little ARMS Microns, which I think are really cool. I kind of wish we had gotten some of these over here because I think they're a lot of fun. And I will go through, you know, their functionality and transformations as we review each of the figures. So let's start with Zamu and War Breakdown. Alright, so taking a closer look at War Breakdown, and honestly, I'm probably just going to call him Breakdown for the rest of the video. He was called Breakdown here. I'm pretty sure in Japan his full name was War Breakdown, and since this mold was previously Japanese exclusive, I believe that they're just honoring that by calling him War Breakdown, but he's Breakdown. So let's take a look at Zamu, his little partner. He's a cool little rhino dude. Doesn't really have articulation. I mean, you can kind of move the legs a little bit. That's about it. But otherwise, he's a pretty cool little guy. You can rotate the head around, like so, and then flip all the legs up, and then this piece will rotate down, and you kind of make a cool little hammer weapon. That was the thing with the ARMS Microns. They kind of were like the precursors to the Battle Masters, honestly. They all transformed into weapons, which I actually thought was pretty cool. And very similar to the current, like, War for Cybertron lines, they had ports all over their body, so you could mix and match the ARMS Microns. I think they even sold ARMS Microns separately, and you would just, you know, build them. They're little sprues, model kit type things, and then you could just peg them all over. You can see he's got 3 ports up here. He's got 1 here. He's got 1 on the side here. His hand can kind of hold one. So it's pretty neat. It was pretty much the precursor to the current play pattern for the War for Cybertron trilogy. Now, as far as this goes, you can kind of put it in his hand. For whatever reason, it feels a little tight. You can kind of make it work, but it feels kind of tight. There's also a connection point right here, so you could kind of fit it in there, but again, feels a little tight. What the directions tell you to do, when you transform this guy, this whole kind of like outer forearm piece and the hand are on the swivel here. And so this just rotates around like this, and then there's actually a connection point right here, and they want you to plug it in there. Now that's where it fits the best. And I kind of like it. It's kind of like his hand is transforming into the hammer, which I think is kind of a neat idea. But it does give you a lot of like dead space in here, which is kind of a bummer. So it's kind of cool, but not perfect. Let me go ahead and rotate this back around. Now, like I said, you could try to peg it in any of these other places. Again, for whatever reason, some it fits in better than others. Some feel a little tight, but you can do it. And also, if you have like current Battle Masters, you can see that this is a little bigger, but this actually works really well. You can plug it into really any of these ports, and it's that 5mm peg. So it's pretty standard, even though it's been 10 years. You really can use these, and they would still all be compatible, which I think is pretty cool. Now, you could probably use this with a current... here, let me bring in a current Voyager class. And this is actually kind of cool to do a size comparison anyway, because the whole reason we never got this figure was they said it was too big to be a Voyager at the time, but too small to be a leader class. So you can see that this kind of doesn't fit. For whatever reason, this peg is just a little too big. I don't really know why. But just for a height comparison here, you can see he's definitely smaller than a current Voyager. I guess the Voyagers back then were smaller. I think they were a lower price point, so that makes sense. But I feel like he could easily be a Voyager by today's standards, and it really wouldn't have been a problem. So I don't know. I'm going to take him back out of here. Let's get into the figure itself. First off, I really like the head sculpt. I think they did a nice job with it. It's painted beautifully. I love the reddish-orange color for the face, the yellow eyes. You have some blue and silver here. Honestly, this blue is probably what the whole head is molded in, and the silver is painted on, but it looks really, really nice. You can do some side-to-side, up and down. There is a ball joint there. The shoulders are a little loose. There's a ball joint here in the actual shoulder right there. That's just a ball joint. And then this can kind of move around a little bit because of the transformation, this kind of shoulder piece. And then you can move this. You can see how that moves. And then you also have a bicep swivel. And then you've got kind of more than, I would say almost a full 180 in the elbow because of the transformation. And then the hand is molded in, and I showed you how that moves around. So that's a little weird. You do have some waist swivel there. You do have hips. Now, my hips are kind of loose, but the thigh swivels are a little tight. Now, it was one of those deals where I had to kind of like move them the first time, and now they're okay. But I actually had to pop. You can see how there's like the actual hip piece is this dark gray plastic, and then the outer part is a lighter gray plastic. I had to pop these two pieces off, and it's simple to do. You can see it's just a mushroom peg back here. So I just popped it out, and the dark gray piece had like a chip that I had to kind of sand down, and that was the reason when I was trying to move him at the thigh swivel, it wasn't really working because it was hitting that little chip, you know, like flashing basically, and it was hitting that and it wouldn't go past it, so I had to sound that to kind of smooth it around, and now it works pretty well. So not an issue now, but pretty much 90 degrees there at the knee. And then you have a swivel here. I don't really think you get ankle tilt. It's just kind of molded to already be tilted. So he's pretty cool, and I think he looks good. But like I said, just the shoulders are a little loose and the hips are a little loose where they're ball joints. All the other joints, because they're not ball joints, are pretty solid. I just think it's funny. I feel like he definitely could have been a Voyager. I don't really know why there was an issue. Obviously, they probably would have just not released the ARMS Micron with him here, and that would have made him fit into our price point even better, in my opinion, but yeah. I also think it's because he has stickers, and that was something they didn't do here. So I think that was another factor why they didn't bother following through, because they would have had to paint it all themselves, and then that would have been added cost. So it is what it is. But we have him now, and he's pretty cool. He's got pretty good articulation. I just think he's got a few floppy joints, but I mean, it doesn't, stop him from standing or anything like that. He still looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and get into transformation. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is go ahead and fold those arms around like I showed previously. Do that on both sides. Then you're going to lift up this midsection, and you can see this whole thing kind of lifts up like this. These two pieces here are going to fold in like so. When you have this up, you're going to unfold this piece here. That's going to fold out. And then there's kind of this like double joint you can see right here where my thumb is. So you kind of have to like fold that down. This outer part is going to swivel around. And it's just making sure you have clearance for all this. So this swivels around. And then this tab is going to tab in here. So you use that double joint to get that close enough and then tab that in. So bring this down, swivel that up, peg that all in like that. Kind of just leave the legs out here like this for now. This is going to unhook and kind of just sit back there for now so that you have the clearance to bend this at the elbows but back the opposite way so that this can come up like this. But then you also kind of have to swivel it at the bicep swivel so that you can bring this up, and then this will slide in here to form like the front windshield. And it actually, once you get it all lined up, it slides in perfectly and works really, really well. And it just pegs together, and then you have a really solid front of the, I guess he's like an armored truck or something. I'm not really 100%, just some kind of truck. So then you're going to come around to the back, and this is where it gets a little weird, but not too bad. So this side piece here will flip around, and then you kind of have to bring this down so that this has clearance to flip around and snap like that. And then you have to fold the feet in all the way in as far as you can go. So do that again over here. Kind of lift this up, then bring this down, flip this around, peg it in like that, flip the foot all the way in. Then you have to spin the waist 180 degrees, like so. You're going to bend him at the knee. And then this gets weird. So this has to swivel around a little bit more, and you can kind of see how this bends, and then this all just kind of like panel forms and lines up like this. But you have to be careful because it doesn't do it super well. It doesn't want to stay together all that well. But if you can bring this around, swivel this. I did it the wrong way. Oop, and I just bent that back by accident. Bring this around. And then clip this on here like so. And then you just want to kind of push this in as best you can and make sure you can kind of hold that all together like that. Then you're going to drop this whole section down over the back. Now, there is a tab right here, and there's another one on this side, and that's supposed to tab in there and there. But it's very hard to get that to happen because you kind of have to hold everything together, and then it doesn't really, you don't have anything great to grab onto to push it in there, but you can get it to go if you just really kind of do your best to, I mean, you don't have to 100% peg it in. There you go. You heard it snap into place there. So there you go. That is your armored truck mode. And I have to say, I think it's pretty cool. Again, doesn't really seem much larger than a Voyager. I mean, when I think about Bulkhead from this line, I really don't feel like he's bigger than Bulkhead in robot or vehicle mode. I wish I had Bulkhead handy, but he's long in storage. Again, it's been 10 years. But this guy just, from what I remember, does not seem much larger in either robot or vehicle mode. So I really don't understand why he could not have been released here. But he's a pretty cool little truck. He rolls pretty well. If you want to bring your hammer back in, they kind of have you put this back down and then just pretend this is like a cannon. So you could have it sit here like this. You could put this back up and have it peg into the top here. Again, it's not the best fit for whatever reason. He doesn't peg in great everywhere. He's a little bit too thick for some reason. But if you wanted to use like a current day Battlemaster, no issue whatsoever. All these pegs match perfectly. So you could peg in this, you could peg in here, you could peg into the front here. You even have a peg back here. I mean, you could go to town. There's tons of peg spots on this guy, so if you wanted to just lump him in with all of your, War for Cybertron trilogy figures, you could do so. He's got the play pattern down, and he comes with his own little Battlemaster. He's got a ton of ports. I mean, honestly, you could probably do some weaponizer stuff with this guy, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I really like this little vehicle mode. I think it looks great. Next up, we have Vehicon and Egu. Now, this is the Air Vehicon or Jet Vehicon. In the show, there were two versions of the Vehicon. They were just kind of foot soldiers, mindless drones that they always sent out after the Autobots. The one we got here turned into the car. This one turns into the jet. There were two on the show, one land-based, one air-based. And for whatever reason, we just never got the Jet Vehicon. I loved the car Vehicon. Don't get me wrong. He was great. And this is very similar. I feel like it's a minor tweak to the mold. And it really surprises me they didn't do it because it's so similar. It would have been a slam dunk for them to reuse the mold and get some more, traction out of it. But for whatever reason, they just didn't. And I don't know why. But here is Egu. The only sticker I put on this guy was the little faction symbol because you put that down and then you plug in the plastic piece over top of it. So I didn't want to put it in and then not be able to if I changed my mind one day. So I just went and put that one in. But yeah, he's supposed to be a little lizard guy. So like I said, I'm assuming he's an iguana. Basically, these just flip up. So I guess technically if you want to say he has leg articulation, much like Zamu, you can move the legs around if you want. But they just flip up like that. And then this piece lifts up and just kind of folds over the head to hide it. And then there you go. It is a blaster. So you can hold it here, you can hold it here, you can hold it here. He's even got ports on the side. And then you can go ahead and put this in his hand. Now this one actually fits really well, but he's got some kind of weird arm articulation, which we'll get into in a minute. So it's a little bit harder for him to wield it, but you can get it done. Or you can peg it into the side if you want. You should be able to peg it in there. There we go. So that's pretty cool. The other thing that's kind of neat, and I wanted to show this off real quick. If we bring Zamu back in, the directions show you that the more you have, you can actually connect them together. So they show taking him, going like this, and then pegging him into here, and then you can like a proper handle for the hammer. So if you wanted to give this to another character and have like a really nice long hammer, they also show a third one that they peg in to the back here. So again, they make it very explicit on the directions that the third one does not come with this set. So you would have to track that down somehow. 10-year-old Japanese arms microns. But if you decided to, you could connect them together. And I think that's kind of neat. I can already feel the stickers peeling on this, so I made the correct decision not to put them on any of the other toys. But I think these are cool. I really kind of wish that we got ARMS Microns as part of Prime because they're really neat and they're simple. I mean, I think it's the whole model aspect to it is what they thought would turn off kids over here. And I get that. I can understand why they think that wouldn't sell. But they're really kind of cool. And I'm glad to have a couple of them now. Like I said, they definitely feel like the precursor to the Battlemasters. And again, if you have a Battlemaster, it works. It can plug into all these ports. So I think that's pretty cool. Whoops, as I throw him to the side. But anyway, yeah, Egu's kind of cool. Kind of a giant blaster gun. Kind of reminds me of like something from Dimension X Ninja Turtle-esque or something with this kind of triangle front to the blaster. So I love it. So yeah, pretty cool. Gonna put that off to the side. Let's take a look at the Jet Vehicon. And again, if you're familiar with the original Vehicon, I feel like the body frame is very similar. Really, really loved the head sculpt they did for these drones. I'm pretty sure the car Vehicon and Jet Vehicon head is very similar, if not identical. Have that kind of slim visor, painted very nicely. You have some metallic-y purple paint here on the chest. Head is on, I guess it's a ball joint. Yeah, you can definitely go front to back. You can go side to side. I guess there's movement there. You have a hinge for the shoulder joint where it attaches to the body, and then a ball joint here where it attaches to the shoulder. So you can move that like that, and then of course you have a ball joint over here. You have a swivel there in the bicep, and you have this kind of weird joint here, and then you have another ball joint where it connects to the black part of the forearm. You have a swivel here for the arm. That's really all you get there. Nothing in the waist. You have a ball joint in the hip. You have a thigh swivel there. I would say you have at least 90 degrees in the knee. And then you have some like foot movement here, but that's really for the transformation. So yeah, but he looks good. I like him. I'm glad we got him. I'm very happy to finally have him. I love the wings on the back. I think that's really cool. And again, plenty of those connection ports there. And you even have some pegs over here. I wonder if you could actually, like some old-time Minicons from Armada, you might even be able to peg into those. I wouldn't be surprised. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those handy because, again, years and years ago. But I think that's really neat. But yeah, he looks good. And also, just for fun, here is a comparison with a modern-day deluxe. Here's Hot House. About the same size, honestly. So, you know, to me, he's kind of a standard deluxe. I don't really think he's too big or too small. I think with this one, it was just kind of a, they never got to it, or they just didn't feel like people would buy two versions of the Vehicon. Like, I didn't think they knew collectors would, but maybe they thought the kids wouldn't, or they would be confused that it's, oh, I already have that one. I don't know. It's just pure speculation on my part, but he looks good. I'm really happy to finally have him. So let's go ahead and get into that transformation. So the transformation is actually pretty similar, and from what I remember, again, it's been 10 years, but from what I remember of the car Vehicon, it transforms very similarly. So we're going to go ahead and you do this kind of weird, like, fold in of the arm joint there, and then you can see this long tab that's going to peg in right there. So this just kind of comes up and slides on like that, and then you just fold the hand in like that. And you can see that's pretty much going to be the whole side of the vehicle there. So replicate that, swivel that in, and then pop this up. And you can see you just kind of want to make like a U with the joint like that. So then you kind of hang these out to the side. You're going to bring this piece on the back up and kind of fold the head in. And then it kind of pushes in. So it kind of like collapses. It's almost like spring-loaded when you go to transform it back. When you pull this out and back, it kind of flips the head out. So you just kind of like fold this back, and then that all collapses in like that. Next, you're going to just completely peg the legs together. So you want to make sure you push this all together like that. And then you're going to lift these up. And they loosely tab in right here and here. So lift these up and then flip these around like this. And then this whole section here, you're going to flip out. Make sure it's pegged all together. And then you're going to flip this out again. And again, just make sure this is all pegged in together. Now this is the part that I remember is almost exactly like the other Vehicon toy. And then you just flip this all the way up, and that just covers the entire robot body. And then these kind of just drop down and line up. So you're pretty much almost done at that point. This is going to tab into the side here. And this is the part that's a little difficult if I can get in here and actually show this to you. So there's this tiny little tab right there. And there is a tiny little tab spot for it right there, which almost seems like it's too far back. But once you push this in, and then you just have to kind of line it up, and it will eventually get in there. It's just kind of difficult, but it can get back in there. So you just replicate that. Let me zoom out so you can see it. Fold this in. This goes there, and you can hear it peg in. It's really nice and tight. And there you go. You pretty much have the whole vehicle mode there. You're going to take these wings, and it actually unpegs from the back, and you kind of have to rock them back a little bit so that you have clearance to swivel them around. And then you're going to peg in this tab right there to that spot right there. So you just bring this up and tab that in and do it the same on the other side. And there you go. You have your crazy flying car Vehicon drone, which I think looks amazing. It's so goofy looking, but I absolutely love it. And then if you want to bring this back in and peg it into one of these pegs, you certainly can. However you want to go about that. But obviously there are no wheels. It doesn't roll or anything. It looks great. I really, really like the look of this quite a bit. I think these guys are a ton of fun. I'm really excited that Hasbro went back and released them for the 10th anniversary. One, I can't believe it's been 10 years since Prime aired. That's nuts. But I'm happy to finally get these guys because honestly, not getting them back in the day, I felt like there were holes in my Prime collection. And, you know, these are pretty significant characters. Yes, the Vehicon's not technically a quote-unquote character because he's a mindless drone. But you were seeing the flying Vehicons on the show, and to not be able to get one in physical form was kind of a bummer. Breakdown was certainly an important character to the show, and to not get a version of him was kind of a bummer. I think he had a legend back in the day, but that's not sufficient. So in any case, very happy to finally get these guys. I kind of love that they just went ahead and, you know, didn't try to adapt them. They just reissued the Japanese toy. Because of that, we get the ARMS Microns, which are really cool. Honestly, the ARMS Microns are something I wish they had done for the entire line because I think they're a ton of fun. I have to assume, you know, the model kit aspect to them having to put them together, they thought would turn off kids and not want them to even mess with them because, you know, younger kids probably don't want to deal with model kits yet, and I understand that. But they're kind of the precursors to the Battle Masters. I mean, honestly, the play pattern we're seeing right now in War for Cybertron Trilogy, you know, they have the ports all over their bodies. You can mix and match, plug them together, make different combinations. I mean, that's what we're seeing right now, but done 10 years ago in Japan. So they were a little ahead of the curve, which I think is kind of neat. I do not really care for the sticker aspect, and that's probably another reason why we didn't see them over here, because they didn't do stickers and they would have had to do their own paint, and that would have just given more cost to make the figure not really fit into the size class. So I get it, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, the stickers are not the best. Like every time I handle this guy, I feel like, you know, my finger is just hitting a corner or an edge of that sticker, and it's going to peel over time, and they're very thin. I mean, they stick fairly well. They adhere to the toy fairly well. I just really don't feel like they're going to last the test of time. I feel like they're just waiting to peel. And it's kind of a bummer because it makes you choose to either have kind of a more plain looking figure or a figure that's more detailed but will probably have peeling stickers. So there's no great answer. I mean, you kind of have to get stuck with one or the other, and there's no perfect solution. I just decided to not mess with them because I didn't want to deal with the peeling aspect. But there's still two great figures, even if they do look a little plain. The Vehicon's probably my favorite out of the two. I just really think he looks sharp, and I love the goofy little jet mode he transforms into. But not to say that there's anything wrong with Breakdown. He's fantastic. So this is a great set. I definitely recommend picking it up. If you're a fan of Transformers Prime and you always felt like these two characters were missing from your collection, it's a nice, fairly inexpensive way to finally pick them up. I think they were a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, so I would definitely go there first. But maybe try, you know, BBTS, Entertainment Earth, TF Source, things like that. They probably have them as well. So I recommend grabbing these. Like I said, if you're a Transformers Prime fan, I recommend picking them up. Even if you're just a fan of the play, if you're a fan of the play pattern, like the Battle Masters, you know, the current Battle Masters work with these guys. They fit in all the ports. Everything's compatible, so you could definitely just kind of toss them into your War for Cybertron collection. I mean, yes, aesthetically they're very different, but the play pattern's there and it works. So I can't recommend these guys highly enough. Definitely add them to your collection if you have any kind of affinity for Prime, and even if you don't, they're just great figures. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.